What if you had the power to kill anyone in the world just by writing their name in a notebook? Sounds like justice, right? But what happens when that power falls into the hands of someone who thinks he's a god? In a world where law and order struggle to keep up with rising crime, a mysterious figure known only as Kira begins eliminating criminals one by one without ever being seen. People worship him, the media glorifies him, but not everyone believes he's a savior. A brilliant detective named L starts connecting the dots, a strange notebook, a hidden identity, a deadly game of cat and mouse that will blur the line between justice and murder, love, betrayal, obsession, and a race against time. Let's unravel the dark mystery behind Death Note, a mind-twisting thriller where one name can change everything. A boy named Light is introduced at the beginning of the film. He's a quiet student when suddenly the weather changes without warning. Strong winds start to blow, clouds gather, and out of nowhere, a notebook falls from the sky, landing on the school grounds. Curious, Light picks up the notebook and flips through its pages. It doesn't look like any ordinary notebook. The pages are filled with mysterious rules and instructions written in an old, eerie style. The book feels ancient, almost otherworldly. As rain begins to pour, Light rushes inside and notices a student bullying another boy in the hallway. Stepping in to stop the trouble, Light gets punched in the face by the bully. He falls to the ground, his bag spilling open, revealing dozens of other students' homework assignments. It becomes clear Light has been secretly helping his classmates by doing their homework. For this, the school punishes him. The principal sends him to an isolated detention room. Sitting alone, frustrated and bruised, Light remembers the strange notebook. He opens it again and begins to read it more carefully. The notebook is filled with a list of detailed rules, specific conditions about how it must be used. As he reads on, the atmosphere in the room changes. A chilling presence fills the air. Suddenly, a shadowy, monstrous figure appears before him. It's not human. Its body is jagged and grotesque, radiating a sinister energy. Light freezes in fear. The creature introduces itself, not as a monster, but as a death spirit, an ancient being that owns the notebook. It explains the terrifying truth. The notebook is known as the Death Note. Whoever possesses it gains the ability to kill anyone just by writing their name in it, as long as the writer can visualize the person's face. The Death Spirit tells Light that he is now the current owner of the notebook. But there's a condition. If Light does not write at least one name in it within 7 days, ownership of the notebook be transferred to someone else. Light still doubts the truth of it all. The idea of controlling life and death sounds unreal. But the Death Spirit insists he must try it. He must use the notebook. There are rules. The method of death can only be something realistic, and Light must know both the real name and the face of the person he wants to kill. Only then will the Death Note work. Light slowly walks toward the window and looks out. There he sees the same mischievous boy who bullied him earlier, laughing and walking across the courtyard. With the notebook in hand and the rules echoing in his mind, a dark curiosity begins to grow within Light. Just then, the scene outside changes dramatically. 2 cars suddenly collide in the middle of the street. One of the vehicles is loaded with iron ladders, and in a shocking twist of fate, one of those ladders flies out and crushes the boy's head, exactly as Light had written. Everyone around Light is left in complete shock, including him. His eyes widen in disbelief. What just happened felt too real, too exact. In that terrifying moment, Light begins to realize the Death Spirit was telling the truth. Shaken to his core, Light starts to feel fear. He now believes in the power of the notebook. The Death Spirit turns to him and calmly says, "You can do many things with this notebook, but if you don't want it, I'll give it to someone else." Light returns home, still stunned. At home, we meet his father, a stern man who works as a detective. A tragic truth is revealed. Light's mother had been murdered years ago by a criminal, but due to lack of evidence, the man walked free. This unsolved crime had created a wall between Light and his father. Light, filled with resentment, often accused him, "You never avenged Mom." Haunted by the past, Light sits quietly, staring at the notebook. Then a chilling idea comes to his mind. What if he could bring justice himself? Without hesitation, Light writes the name of the man who murdered his mother into the Death Note. At that very moment, the criminal is shown enjoying a party with his friends. Suddenly, in front of everyone, he collapses and dies. News spreads quickly. When Light and his father hear about it, a silent satisfaction passes between them. For the first time in years, they share peace, and their bond begins to heal. Light had taken revenge, and it worked. Sitting in school, deep in thought, Light begins to wonder, can I use this power for good? As he's lost in his thoughts, a girl named Mia approaches. She's his closest friend. Trusting her completely, Light decides to reveal his secret. I found a mysterious notebook, he says. Whoever's name I write in it dies. Mia doesn't believe him at first, so Light decides to prove it. They hear of a killer nearby. Light, who already knows his real name and face, writes in the death note that the killer will die in a car accident. Moments later, a crash is heard in the distance. The killer dies exactly the way Light wrote it. Mia is left speechless. Now convinced, she and Light come up with a bold plan. They will use the notebook to eliminate the most dangerous criminals and evil people around the world. Through the internet, they begin collecting names and faces of criminals, terrorists, and murderers. One by one, these people start dying mysteriously. Soon, another power of the notebook is revealed. The owner can even control how and when the person dies, as long as it follows the rules. Light chooses a secret name for himself, Kira. From that point on, every time someone dies through the notebook, Light signs the event under the name Kira. The name begins to spread like wildfire. Criminals around the world become terrified. They stop their evil acts in fear of Kira, an unknown force that kills without mercy. Some people feared him, but many others praised him. They believed Kira was a savior, someone who would cleanse the world of evil and make it safe again. But at the end of the day, Kira was still a killer. So the international police forces got involved. They had only one goal: find and stop Kira. But there was a problem. No one had any clue who Kira really was. There was no evidence, no leads. Light remained completely under the radar. That's when the authorities brought in the world's sharpest and most mysterious investigator, a genius known only by the letter L. No one had ever seen his face. No one knew his real name. But everyone knew one thing: L never failed. Meanwhile, Light and Mia were living in satisfaction, believing they were reshaping the world. They had already killed over 400 criminals. But everything changed when Elle stepped in. In an official meeting, Elle boldly announced, "Kira, come forward and reveal yourself to the world." He began his investigation immediately, digging deep into the roots of the case. Elle also teamed up with Light's father, who was a seasoned detective. Together, they worked to track down Kira. Hearing this news, Light and Mia grew nervous. They had never expected that the authorities would go this far to capture them. Until now, they had felt invincible. One night, Light asked his father, what would happen if Kira gets caught? His father replied, half the world would demand his execution, while the other half would want to know how he did it. This only made Light more anxious. He told Mia, we should stop using the notebook, at least for now. But Mia didn't like that idea. She had started to enjoy the power, the thrill. She didn't want to stop. But Light knew they were under suspicion, especially since Elle could access all the data through his father. Soon after, Elle assigned a special agent to watch Light closely and report every move. Light became cautious. He acted completely normal, not allowing any slip-ups. But Mia felt disappointed. She sensed Light was no longer interested in using the notebook. She still believed in their mission, to eliminate evil from the world. Still, they had a bigger problem. They wanted to get rid of Elle, but they couldn't. The rules of the notebook were clear. You could only kill someone if you knew their real name and had seen their face. And Elle's identity was completely hidden. Frustrated, Mia made a suggestion. Let's write down the names of all the agents investigating us. That'll scare the rest into backing off. But Light refused. They're not criminals. They don't deserve to die. Reluctantly, Mia agreed. On the other side, Elle had made a breakthrough. He realized that Kira could only kill people whose names and faces had been shown on TV or the internet. That meant if someone stayed anonymous, Kira was powerless against them. To avoid more suspicion, Light made a decision. He would stop using the death note for a few days. But then, something terrifying happened. Every agent who was investigating the Kira case suddenly jumped off a building to their deaths, committing suicide one after another. It shocked the entire investigation team. Light was stunned. He hadn't written their names. So, who had? The situation took a dark turn. Until now, Kira had only targeted the wicked. But now, innocent lives were being taken. A storm was coming. People around the world had once called Kira a hero. But now that image was falling apart. He had killed police officers, innocent lives. That changed everything. Kira was no longer a savior. He had become a threat, a shadowy figure who could take anyone's life. Light felt shaken by this sudden shift. He turned to the death spirit and asked, "Did you write those names?" But the spirit simply replied, "No. Someone else wrote them. I can't interfere like that." Now, Light was left in confusion and panic. If he He didn't write the names. Who did? Meanwhile, Light's father, now deeply involved in the case, held a press conference. He stared straight at the cameras and shouted, "Kira, if you have any courage, stop killing innocent people. Kill me instead. Come out and face the world." Light and Mia watched the broadcast from home. Mia, furious and filled with rage, turned to Light and snapped, "Write your father's name in the notebook." Light's eyes widened. "Are you insane? He's my father. I can't do that." Mia's obsession with the death note was growing stronger, while Light was starting to hesitate. Meanwhile, L was silently watching everything unfold. He cleverly used the press conference as bait to see if Kira would dare kill Light's father. But the moment passed. Light's father remained alive. That was the final piece L needed. He had been suspicious of Light before. Now he knew. If Kira had access to Light's father's data and yet didn't kill him, then Light must be Kira. Late one night, L confronted Light face to face. He looked him in the eyes and said, "You're Kira. I know it." He revealed his face to Light and warned him, "Stop this madness before it's too late." But Light didn't respond. He turned away and left, the pressure building inside him. He wanted to kill L more than anything, but he couldn't. He didn't know L's real name. Later, Mia tried to convince L with a different approach. "I admired you," she said. "We need to stop this before it goes too far." But Light had other plans. He began thinking, "I've seen L's face. If I can just find out his real name, I can end this." He realized L's friend might know it. So, Light wrote his friend's name in the notebook, gaining full control over him. That's when a new rule of the Death Note was revealed. If the page with someone's name was burned, that person would be spared from death. But the Death Spirit warned, it works only once. Light had one shot. Now controlling L's friend, Light ordered him to find out L's real name at any cost. The friend recalled that L once studied at a prestigious academy. His real name might be hidden in the old student records. Light immediately sent him there. Everything was going according to plan. As soon as the real name was revealed, Light would burn the page with the friend's name, saving him. But L wasn't fooled. He noticed that his friend had gone missing. It didn't take long for him to piece the puzzle together. He realized Light had taken control of his friend to uncover his true name. L was furious. Without wasting a moment, he rushed to Light's house without warning. He stood before Light's father and said clearly, "Your son is Kira. He's the one who made my friend disappear." But once again, Light remained untouchable. There was no solid evidence, no notebook, no proof. L searched the entire house, but he found nothing. The ancient notebook was gone. Mia had taken it with her. Then Light received a phone call. It was L's friend. "I've reached the academy. I'm just moments away." Light's heart pounded. This was it. He prepared the page to burn and save the friend. But when he opened the notebook, the page was missing. The page with L's friend's name had vanished. And with it, Light's perfect plan began to fall apart. L's friend dies before he could reveal L's real name. Light is devastated. His plan had failed. Completely. Later, at a lively dance party filled with flashing lights and loud music, Mia pulls Light aside and drops a shocking truth. She leans in close, smiles wickedly, and says, "I tore out the page with his name." Light's heart skips a beat. But she isn't finished. "I also wrote the names of the agents in the notebook," she adds casually. Then she whispers, "And Light, I've written your name too." His eyes widen in horror. "You'll die at midnight. Your heart will just stop beating." Mia then offers a twisted deal. "If you want to live, give me the notebook. I'll burn your name's page and save you." Her words sting like betrayal. She's using love as a weapon to take the notebook for herself. Meanwhile, L is consumed by grief and rage. His friend is dead, and he's certain Light is the one behind it. Driven by determination, he finally manages to catch Light. He shouts to a nearby cook, "Help me! He's Kira!" But to his shock, the cook punches L, knocking him out. The cook was working for Kira. Chaos erupts. Mia and Light escape together and end up on a high swing ride that lifts them into the air. Police arrive below. The tension climbs with every second. As the wind howls, Light turns to Mia and pleads, "If you love me, don't touch the notebook. We can fix all of this together." But Mia's greed wins. She snatches the notebook from Light's hands. That's when Light looks her in the eye and says coldly, "You've made a huge mistake." Mia suddenly realizes the truth. Light must have written her name in the notebook, and he had. With both of their names in the book, the nightmare unfolds instantly. The swing snaps. They both fall from the sky. Mia crashes to her death. Light, however, falls into the deep waters below. The scene cuts to a hospital. Light has survived, but just barely. He's in a coma. While he lies unconscious, more criminals around the world continue to die. This raises questions. If Light is in a coma, then who's killing these people? Investigators begin to connect the dots. L had always been suspicious of Light. Now, even in coma, the suspicion only grows. A small yet critical detail is uncovered. During the fall from the swing, one page had separated from the notebook and burned. That page had Light's name written on it. Light had outsmarted everyone. When he learned Mia had written his name in the notebook, he quickly acted. He wrote a new plan in the book. Mia would die if she took the notebook from him. The page with his name would be burned. He would fall into the water, but survive. He had even written the names of the world's worst criminals in advance. To ensure his survival, he arranged for a corrupt doctor to pull him from the water and place him into a deep coma. Later, that same doctor killed himself, also under the notebook's influence. A new man eventually finds the notebook and continues writing the names of evil people. Once Light recovers from his coma, this man hands the death note back to him. By this time, L has been officially terminated from the investigation, but he visits Mia's house one last time and finds something crucial, a list of dead police officers' names. It's the final piece needed to frame Mia for all the crimes. Light has now fully recovered. He holds the notebook once again, but everything has changed. He stares at the book, expression cold and unreadable. He has learned a hard lesson: never trust anyone. And with that thought, the story ends.